just watched Millennium Actress by Satoshi Kon.
Yes, we did.
And I had seen it less than 2 months ago. It's been 2 years since Mark has seen it.
More than 2 years.
Really?
More like 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we both seen it.
Yeah.
But my memory of it was way more clear. So Mark, what did you think?
This is phenomenal.
Isn't it?
So Perfect Blue is, I consider to be my number one film of all time. If Perfect Blue were not in that position already and so close to my heart, I would not be surprised. I would have no problems putting this at number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
This film is amazing. It's not, I mean, in my own opinion, it's not as strong as Perfect Blue to me personally.
Okay.
Just because the themes it explores and the way it explores them are just not as perfect as Perfect Blue to me, because I've sort of idolized that movie a bit. But yeah, I'm a sucker for innovative ways of storytelling, and this is one of the most innovative narratives, a way of showing a narrative that I've ever seen on film. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once we go into spoilers, we'll talk about what we. Because I don't think the movie should be taken at face value.
Oh, no.
Even though a lot of people, they think of it as just a face value.
The beauty of it is face value. It's a little... I can't really say that. I was going to say it's a little shallow, but not even that.
I think it is well, here's the thing.
That.
So my experience when I first watched it is... The first half, I found it a little... dragging. I found it a little hard to engage with. But then somewhere during the movie, something clicked that made me think, oh, things are symbolic and metaphorical in this movie. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of it became the most engaging thing ever. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the people I showed it to in my film club, they might have taken it more at face value. Emma was there. Umu from React to the K.
Oh, she probably wasn't not a fan
was
of
there.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this film... It expects you to view the film in a very unique way.
Yes.
Which is different than you really watch anything in any medium.
I agree.
It's sort of... You have to do a second level of interpretation for this film.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, doing that sort of thing goes, this is such a neat way to do it. Because it's not just vague imagery. Or it's not just, like a mystery where like there's the information's there but it's hiding you that information. Mm-hmm. It's just telling you the information in a way that's appropriate for what it's telling you about. That blows my mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Woody Allen's Annie Hall where Woody or whatever Woody Allen's character's name and Annie Hall are talking, and then in the subtitles they're saying totally different things. Like, oh, I wonder what.
Oh, is that what it makes you think
like.
of?
Yeah, it's like I'm reading these subtitles, and I can see this total other layer. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes every line means something totally different than what is given.
Yeah,
and it's so magical.
Yeah, it's really cool because like telling a film in this way, there are lots of things you lose, but I think there are much more things that you gain. Mm-hmm. Like you lose sort of a certain level of logic, of understanding what's real, but the film challenges you to question rather if that's even important. Yep. Which is really cool.
And I think you can't do any lesser filmmaker can't do it, but Satoshi Kon has this laser sharp focus on exactly what he wants to tell. Mm-hmm. And how the end result is just something phenomenal. Yeah. I actually think maybe it's because I, after latching on to the symbols and metaphors, I'd forgotten a lot of the first half. Rewatching this, my main goal was to make clear what those symbols were. And I think during this watch, I might have gotten a little too carried away with that. I got a little too cerebral. But then obviously by the second half, it becomes, the momentum just surges so much that I get swept away again by the end.
Satoshi Kon, it's one of the few directors who has a way of directing flow, and the way that moments to moments go between each other, and the way that it all fits together,
Mm-hmm.
it makes for an experience that is seamless.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's so strong in this film. I would argue maybe it's a little stronger in Perfect Blue.
Okay.
But I mean that's
I understand
mostly
why.
my own opinion coming
why.
through there.
Mm-hmm.
But because that builds up its surrealism in a very particular way, where this just introduces with its main narrative device sort of off the bat and lets you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like everything flows to the next. Some of the visual shots are second to none.
Yeah.
In any animation.
Yep. That's correct.
With how shots come into other shots and how characters will, like the movement on the screen, and like if I were a more serious animator, like I've been getting more into visual stuff, like doing stuff in Photoshop and doing like video editing stuff.
Yep.
Like if I were to ever get serious about animation, I would take this film in particular and study it scene by scene.
Yeah.
And like figure out like, okay, what is it that makes this tick?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I might still do that anyway, just because I want to, because
yeah,
this is so great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And scenes don't really end; they just transition into the next scene.
Yeah, nothing ends. You never get a feeling of finality until the very end.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, now we're in this section, now we're in this section, we're in this section. It's a continuous experience of flow.
Mm-hmm. I'd say at the beginning, when it was more about the two filmmakers or the two dudes, that was a bit more, traditional. But once the real story kicks in,
it starts with what you expect a film to be,
Yep.
and then it very quickly departs from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 I guess if you guys don't know what the film is about, I mean, I can't really say, but it's about the life of an actress.
Yeah. And it's also the history of Japan.
It is indeed the history of Japan,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go into that in the spoilers, but
yeah.
It is the history of Japan and the history of Japanese cinema in particular.
Yes. This film is very postmodern. I did not at all catch that on my first viewing.
I didn't catch it on my first viewing either.
Yeah.
I had to read it. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah, I realize almost... Maybe that's something to say for spoilers, but this film has lots and lots of references.
Yes, references.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots of layers.
Yeah.
I can't divulge too deep until we get into spoilers. But there was something else I wanted to say. The music is great.
Yeah, same music as Paprika.
Yes.
It doesn't shine as much as in Paprika, but it doesn't need to.
Right.
Yeah, it does what it needs to perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations?
Oh, well, anything else by Satoshi Kon.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is another case, like we watched Shion Zono yesterday, where the only other stuff that comes close to this is the director's other works.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, you could compare the editing style maybe to something like...
I would compare it to something
Edward...
like Eternal Sunshine.
Oh!
Even
That's
though the
not
plot's
a bad
very
parallel.
different. Yeah.
That's not a bad parallel. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that Kaufman does in his narrative is very close. Yeah, Anomalisa is a good example, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, in the way that it shows you something and expects you... Anomalisa does it a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to catch on with what's going on there. But it shows you something that is obviously not real, and does it in order to... and asks you to take a leap of interpretation. Yeah, this takes it 10 times farther than Anomalisa does, of course. But
I could also argue that Synecdoche, New York take this 10 times farther.
yes, you could say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's Synecdoche.
Yeah.
What are other Kaufman films?
Um,
In Human Nature.
Well,
There's Human Nature. There's Being John Malkovich Way. Adaptation.
yes, that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be very different kind of sort of reinterpretation. But yeah.
That's a film I wouldn't mind rewatching. Because I feel like I took it way too much at face value when it started.
Boy, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't gel with you that
It didn't
much.
gel with me at all. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so...
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to change the topic, so if
Okay,
you wanted
sure.
to... Okay.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know my stance on this movie, I like it more than Perfect Blue. It was number 5 on my all-time list.
Oh, where are you putting
It's
it now?
gonna go higher. I don't know. This one has to sit. Because like there is in many aspects this could be number one,
Oh my god!
but
Wow.
I don't know if it is just because this is a film that moves me way more than Perfect Blue does. And I mean, Perfect Blue is one doesn't get moved by Perfect Blue. One gets artistically and creatively stimulated by Perfect Blue. But and that's very strong. That's also in my top 10. But Millennium Actress just hits somewhere even deeper for me.
Yeah, I can
Just
see
because
that.
of a lot of the
Yeah.
things I've dealt with personally and like a lot of the ideas I think about. Just about life in general. Just philosophical ideas.
Yeah.
The way the movie puts it and portrays it. And we might even have totally different interpretations of the film. Who knows? Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I guess so.
But based on my interpretation, this is like almost like an answer to all the questions I've had about life.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I want to go deep, but I don't want to go too deep. So yeah, I guess it's spoiler time. Is there anything else we want to say?
Obviously this is like a high recommendation for us. I can't think of any reason not to watch this
Exactly.
film. You may not like it. It's a little hard to swallow at first, but like the very first time I watched it, I was in high school, and I didn't think the most of it. I was kind of impressed by it, but didn't think a lot of it. But seeing it now, like, man, holy shit.
Yeah. Yep. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think it's spoiler time.
All right, spoiler
So
time.
before we get into the details of the plot, I have one question. Because here's the thing. I mean, I don't expect you to answer it, but I just want to pose it to you. And to you specifically. And to some of the audience out there. So, I've seen 3 out of the 4 Satoshi Kon films so far. You know? Perfect Blue, I mean, of course there is the way he tells a narrative, and all of that is really interesting. But there are always big ideas he wrestles with. And in Perfect Blue, it's kind of about celebrity status and, you know, stalkers and media and internet.
And also the idea of self as well.
The idea of self, indeed. And Millennium Actress, I think, is just about life, and life as an artist specifically. Or an actress, or, just anyone pursuing art. And Paprika, it's not about something that... it's about dreams, I think. It's about dreams and reality.
Right.
So the last film, Tokyo Godfathers, from the little I know about it, it seems like something that's much more... I don't know. It doesn't seem like a big idea film. And all I know is a poster and the fact that it's called Tokyo Godfathers. And it's like set in Christmas and there's Godfathers, like the mob.
I almost don't want to say anything.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to give away what you may or may not find.
Okay.
I will say, though, it's different than any other film he's made.
Okay.
It also shares many things. It does not share a lot of things. But it is a great film.
Okay.
I think I'll leave it at that.
Excellent.
I don't want to answer your question because I feel like it would set up your expectations a bit too much, I think.
Yeah. But I just wanted to pose it to you so you can...
I will say, though, it probably won't beat Millennium Actress for you.
It makes sense.
But because this film is phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
But there's the possibility that it might.
Really?
There's the possibility. I know.
Okay.
I know you're most likely going to like it.
Uh-huh.
Because I love this film.
I believe it.
And we both love Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, and he's like up there. I think he's my favorite animation director. I mean, you know, my take on Miyazaki isn't like the craziest.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's really good. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Satoshi Kon is, I think, number one animator.
Yeah, I mean, same.
And number one director in general. I mean, I think Shion Zono so far takes number one of all time. Director.
Director for you?
Yeah.
Okay, for you?
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think maybe Satoshi Kon would be second or third, but I can't think of who else would be there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I have a list.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to compare, like, my favorites, like, in terms of, like, oh, this one's better than the other, because they are a little hard to compare.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with Miyazaki and Satoshi Kon, they're in similar fields a little bit.
But
even them, they're so different, and they have such different goals.
Yeah.
Like, compare Jian Zono with Satoshi Kon. Compare Jian Zono with Kaufman. How do you even do that?
Yeah, there is
Kaufman. Like, how
Kaufman.
do you do that?
Yeah.
Compare Gianzano with like Don Hertzfeldt or something.
With Don Hertzfeldt. Oh, Don Hertzfeld's high.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Don Hertzfeldt and Satoshi Kon. That is a battle.
Yeah.
I don't know who's gonna win that. I think Satoshi Kon might edge it out just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll have to rewatch It's Such a Beautiful Day again.
Yeah.
Which we should do before the summer ends.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
I'm not ready for it right now.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Satoshi Kon's idea is a little bit more mature than Don Hertzfeldt's.
Yes.
But Don Hertzfeldt's experimentation and presentation and attention to detail. And very
also his
unique
headiness.
Style. Yeah, the
just
headiness.
The things he ponders and how the way he realizes them. Mm-hmm. Also his sense of humor.
Yes.
Is all just wonderful.
Yes. Imagine a Don Hertzfeldt film, but he's 40.
Oh my god.
Imagine what that's gonna be
happen.
like. That's
it's
gonna happen sometime in like 20 whatever.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be beautiful.
It's gonna be too beautiful that it's gonna be the most morbid and beautiful thing ever. And it seems like Kaufman is getting more and more into that direction too.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to say before we go into plot.
Well, we kind of already.
Oh yeah,
spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did do spoilers. Yeah, I was gonna say, just because we talked about our favorite directors, I feel like so often on film forums, film discussions, everyone's favorite directors are the Scorseses, the Tarantinos, even the Kubricks. And I think Kubrick is the one that's closest to like someone that I really think is one of the best. But I don't like him nearly as much as like a Satoshi Kon or a Shion
I think a lot of it is just exposure. I mean, if you're getting into film, the films you hear about are the stuff like the Kubrick, and that's what really gets you into film.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense that the vast majority of people would say stuff that's more well known.
Yeah.
This stuff that's not as well known. I mean, you have to be a very specific kind of person to like that kind of stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, and also film has to, or art in general, has to play a certain role in your life.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's being kind of vague, but, I mean, our tastes are kind of similar. The way we like to watch films are kind of similar. Therefore, yeah.
There are also other directors where I just haven't had the opportunity to, to be exposed of a lot of their films yet. Like David Lynch, I've seen Mulholland Drive. I love Mulholland Drive, but I don't know enough of his other films. I feel like he could be a favorite in the future. Also, I'm hesitant. I know you like Hanukkah a lot.
Yeah, I've watched every Hanukkah film except one so far. Except two. The most recent one I haven't.
Happy End and White Ribbon.
Yeah. But it's like missed in a theater. I'm so mad.
For me, I think I just don't know what his other films are. Because I've only seen a couple.
They're very mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also very hard to swallow. But Cachet is the one that really got me invested.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
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 Like, depending on how his other films go, for me, he could be one of my favorites.
Yeah. Possibly, it's interesting because with most Hanukkah films, like, I don't directly enjoy the experience as I do with, like, a lot of other films because his films are very grueling and very demanding of you. But part of what I really like about him is his philosophy in film and how different it is than other people's thoughts on film. And what I think there is to be gained from his way of thinking, which is very interesting to me, not just as a film viewer, but also as a creative person.
I mean, if every filmmaker makes films the way he does, that's not going to be cool. But it's the fact that his voice exists in this industry and in this art form is what makes him so valuable. And let's not get started with the Christopher Nolans.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think he's very overrated. And a funny thing, an honest trailer just came out today of every single Nolan film made into one trailer.
Oh wow.
And it's brilliant.
I
love the work of honest trailers, by the way.
Is it like mostly positive or negative or?
They acknowledge that it makes sense why people would think he's one of the greatest. But the point of honest trailers is nitpick.
Right.
Oh boy, they do it.
Yeah.
They do it so well.
That's what people enjoy out of those.
But they do it in a way that works. Wow, we're talking about honest trailers now. What? I like honest trailers. I think in terms of mainstream YouTube channels, that's like one of my favorites. But okay, enough of that. That was a detour, but a very valuable one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we watch a film like this stuff's gonna come out.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, what is your interpretation of the film?
I don't fully grasp it yet. which
Yeah.
is part of what I really like
Mhm.
because it means I can come back to this and learn something new.
Right. Ah, that makes me
Yeah.
not even almost not want to give you my opinion. I guess.
Well, I mean, no, of course. I mean, a part of me, like, what I don't want to do is, like, go up and start,
Read.
like, reading about it and, like, looking up other interpretations. And I generally don't like to do stuff about the stuff that I, like, really, really care about. Because I'd rather just have my own journey with with how I view it, right?
My experience is a little different.
Yeah.
I usually, by the time I form a strong enough opinion, I go crazy devouring other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
In part to find a connection, to find someone else who thinks the same way, but also to just hear what other people say. And, you know, I get a dopamine rush out of reading a 5-star review of this film. That's just always been a part of my film viewing journey, and also like why I'm so obsessed with Letterboxd and stuff.
Yeah. I really like doing that too. Sometimes I find though I'm very impressionable to other opinions when they're presented very well though, and I try to be careful about that.
Right.
Like, or also if it's like something I don't agree with, like I don't know. I mean, if it's something I'm unsure about, I don't know. I'm just not in the habit of doing it.
I understand.
Yeah. Let's do something like Rick and Morty, where like it's like the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
And like the philosophy is there. It's not the deepest thing in the world, but it's like there and really interesting. And like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. But with something like this that's as complicated as this, I might watch like one thing, but only if I know if it's super reputable and like really like well thought out.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, let me tell you something, and I don't think this is anything, you know, that'll ruin your impression. I'd say 70 to 80% of people on the internet think this is a literal love story. Think this is like literally about a man and a woman.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that for most of the film too, as I was sort of like, I don't really remember much from my first viewing. I sort of remembered it as I saw it again. But yeah, I realized that the film is really about something different, and it's really the love story is framing what really wants to talk about.
Yes. I think, here we go. I think the painter that she chases through her entire life is like artistic purpose.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And the key is her motivation or drive to do it. And there are certain places where she loses the key, and it can be compared to like either having an existential crisis or just having a crisis of what's the point of creating art. Yeah. And I think the first moment that made me actually realize that during my first viewing was after her first she sees him like wait, let me think. What happens there?
When she first finds him?
No. Later than that. So I think it's about like a third to a halfway through the film. It's set in a wartime film where the setting is all red, the sky is red, and she sees the portrait of herself on a wall in the rubble, and then right after that, she, you go back to present day, whatever that means, present day her and old her, and she's talking about how she's now doing films to aid the war. Like there's this shot where the sun kind of shines through, and right before that she was like, oh, like a bunch of other, I can't explain this really well. A bunch of other actors and actresses are saying like, oh, don't die. Why would you die? Like, why would you be so selfish to die? And then she sees the sunlight, and then she sees the portrait of her, and that's the moment where I realized, oh, she's getting her. I actually thought of it as she's seeing how her art can benefit other people by. And she did a lot of war films after that. So her art became actually about a cause. And then at every other point, that's the cool thing about this film. At every other point, when she loses the key, when she refines the key, when she sees some trace of the man she's chasing, the meaning becomes something different.
Yeah.
And it's always hidden. Yeah. And in a way, I think this could even be an anti-war film.
You think?
It's very subtle, but I think there are undertones. With the way the soldier comes later on and apologizes to her, and at the end it's revealed that the dude has been dead the entire time. I feel like that's like saying how like war kills art. How like war destroys, I don't know, some sort of artistic ambition or just the ambition of an individual. I think it makes total sense for me.
I can see that interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could argue that war does the opposite, but...
Well, yeah, in the same film, yeah, you can say that war does the opposite. War propels her to make more films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I mean, that's not what I feel from it, but that's an interesting way of seeing it.
Yeah, because I was thinking what the purpose was to go back and then for the soldier to reveal that, oh, he's been dead the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though there was such a desperate chase all the way up to outer space near the end before she officially retires. I feel like, in a way, that's like her, deep down she knows that she's not the young girl that she used to be, and that she's like a middle-aged woman, and that time is not on her side. And I think the old lady with the spinning wheel represents time, and that how time loves you, but time also hates you because time kills you at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that things always go around in cycles. And that's also the whole, the cut where every action bounces back to a previous action in the film. But
that whole sequence,
it's amazing.
It makes time feel like not a factor.
Exactly.
She feels timeless in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most timeless moment of any film I think I've seen.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think another thing that makes me more sure that the old lady represents time is that in Your Name,
oh goodness,
there's an old grandma that almost looks like that lady that talks about musubi. And musubi is a thread, and musubi represents time and connection and just life and everything.
They could be specific Japanese imagery.
I believe that.
Yeah, that has to do with the sewing, and it's not that Your Name is referencing this, but they're both referencing Japanese culture. Yeah.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
And maybe Satoshi Kon was thinking the word musubi when he did that whole character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting how at the beginning she said how she didn't want to act, but she just wanted to chase down the guy. That's very, very cryptic for me.
Yeah.
I'm wondering like, oh, I don't like the movies. I don't like acting in movies, but I just want to chase down the guy. I'm wondering because she starts acting immediately after she meets the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, the whole thing is framed as her chasing after him. But she goes through all these roles. So I'm wondering, is it the glamour that she seeks at the beginning? There's some sort of destination that she wants to get at, figuratively.
Yeah.
But but she doesn't see the value of acting in individual films until probably after the war, where she like literally says, "Oh, I make more films now just to like it actually becomes work that she enjoys." Mm-hmm. It's clear at the beginning of her career she doesn't feel that way. Well, you were going to say something. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? Did you?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to piece together my own interpretation.
Right.
Of.
I feel like I'm throwing too much at you.
Okay. It's not too much at all.
It's just like, okay, like if I'm preventing you from thinking anything.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to like pin down specifics for it because I mean, what the specifics are have changed for me as I think about the film more and just sit with it.
Right.
And like, I mean, to me, this seems to be the process of going towards that destination, not saying that specifically artistic creativity, or it could also be a metaphor for like, the obvious one being chasing after someone literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
which I find to be the weakest interpretation.
Yeah, that is kind of a weak interpretation, but it could be the passion of, wanting to be with someone, or the passion of just wanting to be human, or wanting to be, I don't know, like, you could reframe it however you want to.
Yeah.
But it seems like the film is exploring the act of the pursuit and the love of the pursuit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, rather it's about love or artistic drive or whatever.
Yeah, and that's why the
Yeah.
ending is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah, because like
Oh my gosh.
because it completely sets you up to in my own view completely understand the metaphor of the spaceship going up and the two dudes watching the rocket ship go up as she's dying.
Yeah.
And then she's still pursuing what she wants in death.
Right.
It's like a whole Tristan thing where
Yes.
but it's actually like it makes sense in the context of this film.
Oh, it does.
And there's also the metafictional side of it where, you can ask, oh, what was her life really? Like, did she really have this love affair with it, or is it all metaphorical? Even the fact that you have to ask that question makes you wrestle with the specific themes that the movie wants you to wrestle with.
Yeah.
So it sacrifices its own reality to force you to communicate with the movie's themes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After all, it was the pursuit. It was the chase that I enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. And also, there's so many very interesting parallels. Like, I mean, there are scenes that happen twice that happen a little differently the next time.
Yes.
There's the whole parallel of like the main one of her chasing after the painter, and then the interviewer chasing after her.
Yeah.
In a similar sort of way.
Yeah, one of the weirdest, well, not weirdest things, I think it's very clear to me, like, after a while, the very first time at the beginning when you see the space station scene, the other person in the astronaut suit was not Mr. Bearded Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was some dude.
Yeah.
Some young dude.
Yeah. So, and that, in retrospect, makes everything else make more sense, because you realize, all of these scenes that had the bearded dude, where it shouldn't have made sense for him to be in that film, you understand, that's just a reinterpretation of the kind of thing we saw in the very first scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something else that Perfect Blue also does is they start in the film itself, where you don't know what is real.
Yeah.
So it already makes ambiguous what is real, what is not. In Perfect Blue, it's not as strong as it is in this. But in Perfect Blue, it starts with like that Power Ranger.
Yeah,
thing.
the Power Ranger.
Yeah, with the thing on stage, and then immediately cuts off and shows it's like a show. Yeah, this does the same thing. It's so cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm led to believe that this is one of those films where there are many interpretations that can go with it, and there are many interpretations where the film will reward you by, like, it'll make more sense the more you think about it. Because, like, with my interpretation, which I don't even know if it is the interpretation, I find different scenes in films to strengthen my interpretation more. And I'm wondering if there's a possibility that anyone with a totally other interpretation could also, like, this film also provides some evidence with the other scenes. Like, I don't know many films that can do that.
Well, speaking of interpretations, maybe we should talk about Mother.
Right now?
Well, not like how you would interpret it, but like, what is the right interpretation?
Now that's something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think we would both agree that the interpretation that Aronofsky intended for Mother is not the interpretation that resonates for us.
Right,
Or at least not for me.
Nope, not for me either.
When I saw the film.
Not for me either.
So, does that invalidate the interpretation? In my opinion, no, not at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I struggle with Mother on the rewatches, is knowing the fact of what it is.
Yeah.
And then, having to deal with my interpretation and how it still makes sense. But then, like, by the fourth viewing, which is when I showed it to the film club, where most people didn't like it, and that was a whole show.
I might show you sometime, but I have a big poster right here of Mother. Right next to it is a big poster of Perfect Blue.
Yep. Okay, so the story of Mother with me is, I heard about this film. I was a little late. I didn't go, like, the first weekend. I was a little late for it. But I was able to see it on the biggest screen, like, I could possibly have seen it in.
I also saw it on the biggest screen. It was wonderful.
Okay, so what happened was, I watched it. I thought it was amazing. It unsettled me. It disturbed me for days. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I, started reading the reviews and how they were all polarizing. And then I took Mark. I'm like, you better like this, but there's a chance you won't. And then I clearly remember the moment the movie finished, you looked at me and you were like, "You thought I wasn't gonna like this?" Which is great. But I definitely saw your interpretation. Okay, let's not get too deep into that.
Okay, yeah, that's a different film. But I brought that up just because like we're talking about
interpretation.
And that's one of the most interesting examples of that we've had.
Right. Well, let's try going back to where I left off, which is about who I think the bearded dude is. I think he represents like humanity and kindness. He represents all the characters that show some sort of kindness and like genuine like altruism. Yeah.
Yeah, every scene he rescues her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course he also comes to comedic relief. And you can also argue that he's just someone to keep he's like, how do you say that? The person that relates to the audience, that the audience can relate to.
Well, yeah, he's like the director, and then there's the cameraman.
Yeah.
And like they're literally like filming what we're watching right now. Yeah, even though like it's not really the film that we're watching, but like it kind of is at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. There was more. There's more I want to talk about. Come on, think about it. I thought the whole thing with the marriage, was great.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, like she gave up, like she loses her key and then she gets married immediately. Where she like wants to settle down. I think that segment of the film is about the idea of settling down. And versus like pursuing that career. And I wonder, okay, this is a bit of a stretch. I wonder, does it explore, and I think it does, which I will tell you the inspiration for this film very soon. And that opens an entire new layer. What Satoshi Kon's inspiration for this is. But before that, I think this film has like, is a very, like, it makes sense that the main character is female. And it's about an actress. Especially with the segment where she feels the need to settle down, and her mother kind of chastises her for not being married. Maybe she's like, I want grandkids or something. Although we didn't hear her say that.
Well, there's a particular scene where like, she needs to she needs to own the shop later, which is, I mean, probably not what was actually what she meant, but like the idea of the older mother trying to continue the tradition of what is like expected of her.
Right.
Is definitely there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was all very well portrayed.
Yeah.
Especially if you combine it, if you think like the key is losing the drive or the motivation and then picking it back up.
Yeah.
But then by the end of the film, the key is kind of just like living with your memories, I think, just reminiscing and I don't know, just like finding, it's a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, she sort of, I mean, when at the end of the film, she sort of regains her passion through unlocking those memories again.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Something else that's interesting about this film is that it's mainly driven by female characters.
Yes.
Which is very nice.
Oh yeah, that's another character, the other actress.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally says, "I am jealous," but she represents like just the competition.
Yeah.
In that sphere, in that circle, and also the jealousy. And I think there was, I mean, she hides the key particularly at one point. So in my mind, that means like all this competition and all this, all this surface level, like actress versus actress stuff caused the artist in her to just disappear and die for a little bit. Yeah, which I think makes perfect sense. And I also really like the touch, and I don't know if this is intentional, how she finds the key while digging through like old photo albums, like in like an old bookshelf. I wonder if that's like I don't know what's figurative, but like I wonder if that could be her flipping through her past and then just regaining it by reading about her past again. But see, it just clicks so well in my head.
All the metaphorical
it's just
stuff.
Crazy.
Next week you'll have a completely different interpretation, I bet.
I don't think so. It's always been the
I'm
same.
I'm making fun. You probably will.
No, that's exactly why this film is so high on my list. Just because I found this one interpretation and it just stuck. Yeah, and it moved me, and it's just so great. Okay, I'm gonna reveal what this movie's really about.
Okay, sure.
Or the direct inspiration. This was actually inspired by an actual actress.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that somewhere. Yeah.
Do you know who this actress is?
No.
I think this should dictate what our next film should be.
Really?
You ready?
Okay.
She's an actress who worked particularly with Ozu.
Oh.
And her most popular film is
Tokyo Story?
Tokyo Story.
Better. I guess we gotta watch Tokyo
You better
Story.
watch it. Yeah. And I will take this time to look up her name, and I want to see if she has a mole on her side, because I think she actually has a mole on her side.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But so okay, I can talk and type. So basically, just kidding, I can't talk and type. Setsuko Hara, that's her name.
Does she have a mole?
Does she have a mole?
I
I don't think so. I don't see one.
She kind of does look like her.
Yeah. She already appeared in 67 films before working with Ozu. Okay, so basically, the story of Setsuko Hara's life is that she fled from public after she began collaborating with Ozu. And she never did any interviews. And apparently, later on, by the one chance she got to say something, she said, "I don't enjoy acting."
I remember hearing about
Yeah, I don't enjoy acting. It is just something that helps me get by. And she was considered to be one of the most beautiful actresses of the time. She had this purity, which, the movie Millennium Actress compares with the lotus, how the lotus literally means pure, pureness, purity. And so she's known for her purity, but people speculate that she had an affair with Ozu. She has like this, the reason she works with him particularly is because they have the secret love affair. But nothing was ever revealed, and everything was very mysterious with her until she died, and we still don't know. Which is interesting because that almost goes completely against my interpretation of this film, where it's all about artistic drive and passion, and the passion for acting. So maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's about literally finding a loved one while doing something that you don't really enjoy.
That's the thing, though. You can see it that way if you want to.
Exactly, but that doesn't.
It allows you to see it that way. Yeah. If you're more of a historical person, you can see it as exploring Japan.
I was just going to bring that up next.
Yeah.
Which is how the film literally goes in chronological order.
Yeah.
Yeah. How it starts from like the Rand times, which I think is the 15 or 1600s, way during the dynasties. And then you get some of the, too bad we're not watching wuxia, but that kind of, the old type of, the assassin coming and cutting everybody up. And then it goes, I love how at the end it goes into science fiction with, you first see the Godzilla. The only two things that are technically in the future are Godzilla and space.
Yeah.
And that actually, by the time we got to the present day, which is like they literally did like some sort of war film, I was like, wait a minute, so we're going to go into the future now. But I don't remember there being that many films in the future. That many films that she did. And it's true. Most of it was about her in real life, in her own timeline, and in her reality, or in some sort of figurative reality.
Well, it's a figurative reality. I mean, she obviously didn't live during the samurai times.
Right. But it shocked me, like, because I thought, oh yeah, we're going to see so much, like, it was just going to be film after film. Because at the beginning, they kind of went film after film after film after film.
Well, they actually start with what very much looks like her real life.
Exactly.
Yeah, it starts to look like a flashback, and then it sort of transforms into like a samurai thing. I think.
Transforms into many eras of classic Japanese history.
Yeah.
And then...
I want to say before you go on, the color palettes.
Yeah.
All throughout the film, but it's most noticeable in the beginning, I think.
Oh yeah.
It's most obvious when you're sort of being introduced to this narrative way of storytelling. Everything's very muted.
Yes.
As if it were in like an older photograph. Except for the guy, the bearded man, and the cameraman.
Yes.
Are in full color.
Yes.
It's
wonderful.
It's like it's not black and white against color, but it's like a subtle difference that it really pops out.
Right.
And if you don't like see it, you sort of subliminally understand it. It's I feel like it's so great.
I also love. I just want to point out the montage where like she rides the horse.
Yes.
She rides the carriage.
Yes. Oh my
she rides the bike.
Yeah.
That is like, I think that's one of those pure cinema moments where the music, the visuals, and just the momentum, the emotions,
Mm-hmm.
it's all at such a high point where
Yeah.
it's unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a montage itself,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
But what was it? I was gonna say something else. I'm always gonna say something else, and I can't remember it. Oh well. I mean, that's a pretty good dissection.
Yeah.
That was a really good talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have.
Oh. I know what I was gonna say. I think if I knew more about Japanese history and what really works with what era, I think a lot of the times where things appear anachronistic or like something from another time would appear in a time that where it shouldn't belong,
Right.
those would pop out more because there was one moment where Mr. Bearded Man wore like an outfit from the previous era into the wuxia era.
Yeah.
And then the other camera dude's just like sarcastically saying, "Oh, that's not from the same era."
Yeah.
And for me that wasn't as strong. Another moment was when she was I think riding the bike in the sakura trees. You suddenly see the soldiers that are modern day or like 1950s, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like, oh, I see. That the soldiers are from another era. But I feel like if I actually knew the history of Japan, that would have popped out like immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one moment where like, it's the second time the cops come and she brushes by the guy a second time and they have like the same shots and everything with the same faces and everything. And then Bearded Man comes up with like this revolver.
Yes, exactly.
It's like totally inappropriate.
Yeah,
for
well, that's great. Yeah. Which makes, well, I guess gunpowder was invented, but I thought it was kind of surprising when like in the Ran scene. By the way, Kurosawa's Ran. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
For the first scene.
I like, wait, this is a lot like a film I've seen. Oh, wait, Rand.
But I wonder...
This is Rand.
because a lot of the later Kurosawa color films all have that. Are all in that era. Mm-hmm. So I'm hesitant to say it's just Ran versus being late Kurosawa. Because I haven't seen films like Kagemusha, which just from one poster looks exactly like Ran.
Yeah. Well, like... It seemed to parallel a very specific moment in Ran. Where there are flaming arrows and there's a tall... Like, the architecture of the place looked like exactly the same. Like, that room where she was in looked like the exact same room that was in Ran.
Right.
Yeah.
Except...
So it makes me wonder if every scene is like that with a specific film.
Oh, I hope. I mean, we see Godzilla.
Like, obviously there's Godzilla. But there's, like... There's like the one where like there's the hostage in the middle she cuts out. I wouldn't be surprised if that's just directly from a film.
Right.
That to me that sort of labels this as postmodern in a really interesting way.
Yes.
Because it's like a sampling a different real films. But it's narratively told through those reinterpretations of films.
Right, exactly.
And there's also like there was that one moment where you caught the I don't know this film well enough, but caught the Casablanca sort of.
There was a poster.
Thing.
There was a poster where she's with a guy who dresses like Humphrey Bogart at the end in the airport scene in Casablanca, and she's in a shawl, which I think Ingrid Bergman wears a lot in Casablanca, but I don't know. I think that was a direct Casablanca reference.
Yeah.
And I want to throw a guess. I think the one with the assassins, the two girl assassins, right? The one that's right after the Ran. I want to make a guess. I think it's something along the lines of like the Zatoichi series.
Oh.
Which is a series that has been constantly remade throughout many decades. It's constantly rebooted, and it's about this one samurai. Although, no, that doesn't make any sense, actually. Never mind, I totally scratched that, because Zatoichi's blind.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he's a man.
Yeah.
I feel like, since this film is so much about the actress, I think all the films it would reference would feature a woman. It would be a woman, knowing, the scene in Ran.
I mean, it could gender bend, but who knows?
It could gender bend.
Who knows?
I mean, she wasn't blind, so I don't think it's Zatoichi.
Yeah.
And I don't know what time period Zatoichi was set in. But, yeah, I think that's it. Hey, guys. Bye, guys.
Wait, is that it? What?
I think that's it.
Wait, what?
Oh, no, I just suddenly... Wait, did you want to say something?
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just sort of having a good time sitting with this and letting thoughts come.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have as strong an interpretation as you do, but, I mean... Yeah, I had a fun time with this film.
Yeah.
And I love Satoshi Kon, and I think, yeah.
Yeah. Yay. Okay, the reason I said that's it is because I felt like we already had a couple of lulls in silence,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't want the next one to really start and be like, okay, that's it. That's it, guys. Bye. Anyway, yeah, but... Okay, you've seen this movie if you reach this far in the video.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed our breaking down and our analysis of it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Peace.
Yeah. So we're gonna watch Tokyo Godfather soon, I think.
Tokyo Godfather, Tokyo Story.
Tokyo Story. Yeah.
All the Tokyos.
Yeah, all the Tokyos. And then when we watch Tokyo Tribe, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind rewatching.
Actually, that'd be a really fun series. All the films that start with Tokyo. Tokyo Godfathers. You should show that sometime. Tokyo Story, Tokyo Godfathers, Tokyo Tribe.
Oh my gosh.
And you can probably find a few more Tokyos that are like
Probably.
really good films.
Oh man, just the Tokyo week?
Yeah, Tokyo
No,
Week.
oh,
Tokyo Week.
Wait, no. You know Holy Motors?
Uh-huh.
You know the character Merd?
Mm-hmm.
He first appeared in a film called Tokyo.
Oh.
And it's a collab between 3 directors.
There you go.
This guy's this guy's contribution is an entire short film based on Merd. And it's set in Tokyo.
Oh, we gotta watch Memories.
What's Memories?
So Memories is a interesting anime film thing that's also a collaboration between 3 directors.
Is it the one with the poster that's like some Akira-like creature?
Yes, it's not a creature. It's a guy in a spacesuit.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually the very first one is written by Satoshi Kon.
Oh no way.
And I think directed as well. I'm not exactly sure. But the first one, Satoshi Kon, is the best one by far. And the other 2 are also kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one has not this level of complexity because it's much shorter and much smaller in scope, but it has the same sort of feeling of and like narrative complexity as a lot of Satoshi Kon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'd be down. I don't know. I feel like I could wait a week or 2 before watching the next Satoshi Kon film.
Oh yeah. Well, always.
Okay.
You never want to.
I thought you meant like, we just watch Tokyo Godfathers like
no.
soon as we can.
No.
Yeah.
No. Like soon in our quest for watching films.
Yes.
I guess.
And making these videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.